I never intended to stay long at my grandmother's house. It was supposed to be a temporary stop, a holding pattern while I figured things out after the city chewed me up and spat me out. After I lost my job, my apartment, and the last bits of pride I had, there was nowhere else to go. My parents were halfway across the country, and the friends I used to lean on had either moved on or quietly turned their backs. So I returned to the one place that had always felt oddly separate from the rest of the world, my grandmother's old sprawling house on the edge of a forest in Vermont. The house smelled of cedar and age, with dust hanging in the air like a suspended memory. It creaked and whispered at night, but I chalked it up to the peculiarities of old wood and time. My grandmother had passed the previous winter, and the place had sat untouched since. Her death was quiet, like her life. Graceful, if such a thing could be said about dying alone in your sleep. I was her only grandchild. It made sense that I would be the one to handle her things, sort through her belongings, settle the estate. In the first few days, I focused on the practicalities, clearing out the kitchen cabinets, boxing up linens, making notes for the lawyer. But the attic, a cavernous space under a steeply pitched roof, called to me in the way childhood memories do. I hadn't been up there since I was 10. It was filled with antique furniture, yellowed books, and other relics of my grandmother's quietly remarkable life. It was there I found the mirror, tall and heavy, with an ornate frame of curling bronze ivy. It leaned against the far wall behind a wardrobe. I had no memory of it from my childhood, but it didn't feel unfamiliar. There was a weight to it, a presence that made me pause. I wiped the dusty surface with my sleeve and looked into it. At first, I only saw myself, drawn and pale from weeks of insomnia and stress. But the longer I stared, the more I noticed things. Shadows that didn't align with the light. A subtle flicker behind my shoulder. The attic was empty, and yet something was different in the mirror. A blur at the edges. A chair slightly askew that I hadn't moved. A reflection of movement that didn't exist. I told myself it was fatigue, a trick of light, or the product of an overactive imagination finally given too much quiet, but I kept returning. Every evening, I'd climb to the attic and stand before the mirror. And each time, something new appeared. Sometimes it was subtle, a shape shifting in the background, or a shadow falling across the stairs. Other times it was more distinct. Once, I saw a figure pass through the hallway behind me. A woman, I thought. But when I turned, there was only silence and the soft groan of the house settling. The figures became more familiar. A man in a flannel shirt who looked suspiciously like my grandfather. A child who could have been me, dragging a toy train behind him. A dog, long dead, whose name I had to dig from the recesses of my mind. They never acknowledged me. They never looked into the mirror. They simply existed, unaware, going about small moments of their day. Still, I convinced myself it was a dream, or a memory fragment, something scientific or psychological, surely not supernatural. The days bled into each other. I stopped going outside. I stopped answering calls. The world narrowed to the attic and the mirror, which began to feel more real than the rest of the house. The reflections grew clearer, the figures more detailed. I saw my mother once, folding laundry at the foot of a bed that no longer existed. She was young, younger than I remembered her ever being. The mirror, I began to understand, wasn't showing me what was behind me. It wasn't reflecting the attic as it was. It was showing something else. Another version of this space. A past version. Or perhaps a layered reality just out of sync with mine. Then one evening I saw myself. Not the me I expected. Not my reflection. But another version of me, walking across the room in the mirror. He didn't look at me. He seemed tired, older, worn in a way I didn't recognize. I screamed, but there was no sound. The image faded, slowly like steam off glass, and I was alone again. I tried to leave the next day. Packed a bag, locked the attic door, forced myself down the driveway. But the air felt wrong outside, thin, flavorless. I stood by the mailbox, staring down the road that led back to the world, and I couldn't will myself to take a step. So I went back inside, told myself I needed more rest. Just another night. I'd go tomorrow. That was 3 weeks ago. I stopped checking the mirror every day. It no longer mattered. I knew what I'd see. The reflections grew crowded. So many faces I recognized. People long dead. My grandmother at her writing desk. My grandfather tending a fire. An old friend from college I'd lost contact with. My dog curled at the foot of the attic stairs. Me, again and again, in different clothes, doing things I didn't remember doing. Versions of me I'd never met. Then yesterday I saw my mother again. She looked directly into the mirror. Not at me, but through me. Her face crumpled. She mouthed something I couldn't hear. And then she vanished. That's when I understood. This wasn't a mirror at all. It wasn't showing me a reflection, or even a memory. It was showing me the world that continued without me. The people who had once shared this space with me, living out their days, moving forward, unaware. I was the one out of sync, the one trapped in the stillness. I went down to the kitchen and opened the cupboard under the sink. The newspaper was still there, folded and worn, the one from 3 months ago. My obituary was in it. I had died in a car accident on the highway outside town. A winter storm, a patch of ice. Instantaneous, they said. Survived by parents, missed by friends. And now I linger. Not alive, not gone, just here, watching the living from the other side of the mirror. Not a reflection. A window. I wonder how long I will stay. The house feels different now. Quieter. As if it's waiting for something. Or someone else. Maybe one day, someone will find the mirror. Maybe they'll see me. Maybe they'll think it's just a trick of light, or a tired mind conjuring ghosts. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be the one standing behind them.